All right, share screen. So thank you everybody for your patience. I am here to talk with you today about Benchmark Senior Living. We are located on the East Coast, obviously, but primarily here. So our corporate headquarters are in Waltham, Massachusetts, and we do have communities in Vermont, one. We have one in Maine. We have 5 communities in New Hampshire, and then the rest are in the southern states below that in the New England region. So we'll go through the presentation today of giving you a little bit more information about my organization. You can also send an email or send your resume to the link that you see on the screen. It is recruiting@benchmarkquality.com. We have a very long company string for our email. So I gave you a brief overview just now of where our communities are located. You can see here about us on the map. It shows that we are in the areas noted, but mostly on the eastern seaboard. This is a little bit of a snapshot of one of our residents having fun with us. The people that you see on the stairs, this is pre-social distancing, pre-masking. It looks strange to see people's faces, but they were involved in some activities, and we really want to have fun and engage with our residents. Our company primarily caters to the senior population. We have communities that have different service packages for our residents. We have some communities that are solely serving residents with memory care needs. We have communities that serve independent assisted living and memory care. So they would allow the resident to stay in place, age in place. And then we have other communities that may offer more skilled nursing services. So I did speak to this a little bit. We're in 7 states. You can see those listed here as New York, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Maine, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, and Vermont. We have 61 communities. These are not large retirement communities. They are smaller, typically ranging anywhere from 60 apartments up to maybe 110, depending on the service that we offer there. The independent communities in Massachusetts tend to be quite a bit bigger, but the other communities are a little bit cozier feeling for our residents. The housing products, as I mentioned, are the independent living, assisted living, memory care, and then the continuing care retirement communities. We do have 6,500 associates that currently are in our employment, and we like to think that we hire for people's heart, and then we train for excellence. So it doesn't mean you have to be a trained caregiver or a trained server or a trained whatever in senior living. But if you care about seniors and you want to do the best for them and provide them with a great service and an excellent experience, that's the type of person we're looking to employ with Benchmark. We have 5,200 residents that reside with us. So the average age is 87 years or older. And typically they're independent to a degree. A lot of people come to us because they are lonely living at home. Maybe they need some reminders about taking medications, or maybe they need assistance with their daily meals, bathing, and they come to our communities because they want to have companionship. They want to have an invigorating lifestyle. They want to have activity. And that's what we fulfill for them, is that engaging family-like atmosphere where they come together for breakfast in the morning, lunch, dinner, and their family can come and see them. I'll speak to a moment how COVID has changed that environment, because that has been a great challenge for us, keeping our residents safe and having to close our doors to family members and minimizing visitors. So I'll talk to that in a few minutes. I know I'm speaking of a world that we all lived in prior to March. So these are the New Hampshire communities to have a better understanding of where they are physically located. The Birches in Concord is all memory care. So those positions would involve the care staff, CNA, nursing. We do have the cook, maintenance, housekeeping, the dining services director, and the programming team is a big part of what we do at the Birches Memory Care. We also have 2 communities in Bedford, New Hampshire. One is assisted living and memory care. It's a large community, Bedford Falls. And then our sister community about 10 minutes away is the Arbors of Bedford. and they have an all memory care neighborhood. It's actually a very large property split up into two neighborhoods, but the residents can move from one side of the building to the other. They do have a resident dog there named Maggie, and that environment is probably one of my favorites because the residents are engaging and they have fun and they can walk freely from one side to the other, and it's just a lovely community. Nashville Crossings is obviously located in Nashville, New Hampshire. They serve both assisted living and memory care, another beautiful community. And then we have Greystone Farm at Salem in Salem, New Hampshire. And those properties are assisted living and memory care. So you've got typically an assisted living population where the residents each have an individual care plan. So we know what services we're providing, and we would assist them with their meals for the day, maybe medication reminders. The associates may be helping with daily housekeeping, bathing, a lot of activity. When you think about our residents, they may be living alone in an apartment. They may be with a significant other or a spouse, and they have interests still, right? They used to live and be very active in their community. They come to us and they're looking for maybe not the responsibility of yard work or the responsibility of grocery shopping, but there has to be some engaging ways for them to fill their days. And they don't just want to sit and read anymore, watch television. They really want to do some other things. So we offer transportation outside of the communities to different venues and events, engaging activities. We bring in a lot of entertainment, so they get to see singing and dancing and use of instruments, and that is a lot of fun for our residents. Again, I am speaking of a world prior to COVID, so we will go back to more outdoor, outside activities right now. It's a different place. This is just a little, a few pictures of our associates engaging in activities. In the upper left, they're in the kitchen. In the lower left, we've got a super nurse just having fun at work. That's a lot of what we do with our residents, is have fun. Benchmark is a great place to work, and I'm going to talk to you about a few of the awards that we've won. So we do a lot of surveys with this organization where we ask our associates for their anonymous feedback. When they give us that anonymous feedback, we can qualify to be a great place to work. We can also qualify to be an employer listed on one of these companies or receive an award for being a great place to work. And these are some of those achievements that we have received. Again, some of the job opportunities so that you can see them are, we have the housekeeping team. They're going to provide in-room housekeeping, similar to what you find in a hotel. They're going to dust and vacuum and remove any trash. They also do the common areas, so where people congregate in a living room or in the dining room, they would help us keep those areas beautiful and clean. The dishwasher is going to be in the kitchen, of course, making sure that we can maintain an extremely clean environment for our residents. The server, I love this job. This is one of my first jobs when I was in high school, but the server is the person that presents the daily meal options to the residents in the dining room. So they're the ones that, you know, provide the coffee or the tea and ask what the resident wants to have that day for their meal. And then they get to visit a little bit with the resident, serve the resident, and then remove that, the meal and the dishes from the dining table at the end of their time with us in the dining room. And then we have the cook. So the cook is going to prepare all the meals. We like to have a lot of from scratch meals. We do other things as well. The cooks have a lot of fun because we do events. We do special activities throughout the year. So when it's a holiday, we certainly like to celebrate that. Everybody loves to use food as a great celebration tool, and our residents certainly do as well. The nurse assistant, depending on the state you're in, may be licensed or has been trained to provide direct care to our residents. The nurse assistant is a busy job because they may do anything from assisting a resident with their activities of daily living, which would be the things that we do before we leave our home. Maybe we brush our teeth, we shower, bathe, wash our face, comb our hair. Our residents, as they age in place, can have more difficulty with these tasks. Sometimes it's difficult for them to ambulate a toothbrush and properly do oral care. So our assistants would help them with that. Maybe they get into the shower and they feel nervous to be left alone, so they want someone present. Or maybe we help them wash their hair because it's difficult as you get older, balance wise, to do some of these tasks. So the nursing assistant, it's an intimate job directly dealing with our residents and their activities of daily living. So, but it's a wonderful, rewarding job. You get to spend a lot of time with our residents. When you hear about our residents' legacy or their life story, the history that they leave, this is the greatest generation, and we learn so much from them. And I think they really enhance all of our lives. And then, of course, we have nurses. In New Hampshire, we have 24-hour nursing. So we have the nurse assistant and the nurse in all of our buildings 7 days a week and 24 hours per day. In some of the other states, it's not required. So if you're close to Massachusetts, we would have a day and evening shift for a clinical team. And then the nurse is on call throughout the night. The way we schedule, I like to bring this up a little bit. Many of our positions are going to be split. So you would either have a rotating weekend option for your schedule, or you would have a split schedule. Our leadership team is in the building and covers the weekend, but they do it in a way that they work from Tuesday through Saturday, and then they would have off Sunday, Monday. Or they might work Sunday through Thursday and they would have off Friday, Saturday. We do that so that everybody has access to leadership, the family members, residents, and associates. And when the weekend comes, it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, there's no one in the building. Who can I ask if I have a concern? So our mission is that we want to deeply understand people. We want to meet them where they are and connect them to what's meaningful and possible at every stage of life. The reason that's important to us is if you see these two lovely ladies sitting here, they're being served, looks like Valentine cake, and we're having fun. We really need to have a lot of fun. But we want to see what can we still do to keep our residents engaged. So the cooks are doing a cooking demonstration, and these ladies probably helped whip up the whipped cream or the frosting that's on the table. So they may have been interested in cooking and baking earlier in their life, but now they're in an apartment where they don't have access to an oven. They're not going to be baking in their apartment. But how do we engage them? And this is the way we do that. We want to understand them and find out what's important and what is meaningful to them. So these are the ways that we do that. The senior living population is growing and will continue to grow. We're one of the organizations, or really any healthcare organization, when you go through an unfortunate dip in the economy or the pandemic that we just have gone through a hard time, we're still there. We're still providing for our residents. So if you're not in healthcare, take a close look and see kind of what it could offer for you, especially in senior living. This shows you a little bit about how people are aging and what percent of the population our greatest generation holds. So you can see, if you look at this in green, is the percentage of people over the age of 85. And then that is compared to the people over the age of 65. So they're both growing. As we continue to go through our years, that population will still need to be served. And we are here to do that for them. So our response to COVID, oh my gosh, what have we not had to endure during this time? We were one of the first senior living organizations back in March to close our doors to visitors. The pandemic made us very nervous that we had a lot of visitors coming into our building. When you think about a senior living organization, even though we're not large, you've got a mail carrier, you have UPS, you have people delivering medications. Each resident has visitors, family members, we have vendors coming in the door, and we decided we had too many people. And we shut our doors down, which was really difficult, especially for the family members, because these residents have not seen some of their family members in months, and that has been very emotionally challenging. But the way we got through it is we took care and said, we've got to protect our residents from COVID. And the way it comes in the building is by having numerous interactions with a variety of people from different places. So we did immediately close to visitors. We had an ample supply of PPE distributed immediately. All of us have been out to the communities and delivered face masks, shields, goggles, gowns. You can see somebody here is in a Tyvek suit. During the height of the pandemic, it was important to us that our associates had every protection because we could not bear the thought that they would go home or were exposed to COVID at work. So we took this very seriously. We offered transportation and child support benefits during this time. So we had Lyft. We had ways to get people to work if they lost their transportation because the bus system was shut down. And then for those that had children that needed childcare, maybe after school programs provided an extended amount of time for them to be able to work, we offered a stipend to those people that lost their childcare. We also had calls daily with our communities, with our senior leadership team, so everybody knew what was happening. We were very transparent in how COVID affected our communities. We had systems set up where if we did have a positive resident or associate, we called every family member and every associate within 2 hours. It was a taxing time. It was difficult, but we really did the right thing and people were informed what was going on. They knew what steps we had taken to protect them and their loved ones or the associates. The associates were positive. They were sent home for a minimum of 14 days. We pay them for that time. We just did everything we could to protect the associate and then protect the resident and do what was right. So you can see some of the things that we offered here. We had the EAP is the Employee Assistance Program. So they offered webinars on stress reduction and ways to manage through a pandemic because as some of you know, if you've been through it, it affects everybody differently depending on your work or your life or how you manage through these dynamics that are ever changing. So some of the other things we had, we offered free meals during this time. Typically with running a 24/7 operation, we would have associates pay for their meals. They're $3 per meal. It's pretty cost effective, but we did provide all the associate meals because we felt that was important. And then we did all associate testing and we did resident testing. We wanted to be sure that our associates had access to a test and that our residents were safe as well. So that is how we, a little snippet about how we managed through our response to COVID. Some of the hiring practices we've adopted since then, we have done virtual interviews, we can do virtual community tours. Some cases we'll do an in-person interview if we can socially distance. Sometimes we were doing them outside, each with a mask, 6 feet apart. And then our onboarding and training has changed a little bit where we do offer some variations on distance classes so that people can minimize the amount of time they're in the community. At this time, we do require a COVID test, a negative result prior to people starting in our communities because we've been very successful in New Hampshire in not having COVID in a number of our communities. So that was a great success for us. So if you're interested and you want to apply, you certainly can apply at this link. It's careers.benchmarkseniorliving.com. Again, you can email recruiting@benchmarkquality.com. And we do have positions, if you don't have experience or maybe you don't want to do clinical care with a resident, maybe that isn't kind of what you're looking for, which is okay. We've got positions with administration where maybe you are the receptionist and you can manage the phone lines coming in, the residents may be coming up and asking some basic questions. When we're fully operational, you would be handling the visitors, vendors, and some of our communities are opening up to that right now, but that would be a great way to enter into our communities if you don't have the experience you feel for one of the other positions we talked about. We also hire program assistants, which is a fun job. So if you look at the person between the unicorn and the giraffe, that's probably a programming person who is there to have some fun with our residents. Programming is the department where we really want to engage our residents and get them to have fun in multiple ways, whether it's through exercise or it's a spiritual class, or it's touch, feel, smell, hear. We want to touch upon a number of areas and not just do bingo or just do games that may not be engaging for them. So that's a lovely way to engage with our residents as well. And that is a brief overview, maybe it was a long overview, of Benchmark and the organization that I support. And I'm open for questions.
Thank you, Shannon, so much. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.